Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Happy Juneteenth. We're going to celebrate Juneteenth today with two really fabulous miniatures. Let's get it on, baby. This first one is Harach and Plaster, 1967. We're going to see a most unusual, interesting idea here that I really enjoyed when I played through this. I thought, yeah, I got to show the guys and gals. Absolutely. This is too good to lose. Now he has jumped up the center pawns in order to bring out his bishops. That's the one advantage of pushing both the D and E pawns immediately two squares, no matter what the opponent does, simply because it opens up your potential for your bishops. Just be aware of that. You've got the opening on both bishops. In the bishops get stronger with age, right? As you go through the game, as pawns are exchanged, pieces are exchanged, the board opens up, the diagonals become longer, and so keep your bishops if you can, at least one, because they improve their strength through age, through time, I should say. They're like a fine wine. It improves with age, yes. Okay, so the D is going to take the E pawn. So the little rascal is gone, and white is going to challenge the pawn. Not that he has to do anything about it right now. Yes, I would agree. Bring the pieces. Bring the pieces, right? Don't worry about the pawn at this moment. And white also. Bring the pieces. Bring the pieces into the game. Yes, I know there's tension there, but you do not have to immediately retake that pawn. No, it is more important. For instance, corny illustration, but it works because it's real. We're going to keep it real. By bringing out the knight, that knight targets or influences or sets up to attack 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. This pawn, if he takes the pawn, only controls 2 squares. Now, sincerely, was it Weir and Montre? Was it Fisher? One of them illustrated that. They said that. Well, probably all of them do eventually. I'm sure Silman did. But sincerely, the pieces are stronger than the pawns, so get your power out there. Yeah? I'm just saying that is sincerely correct. And notice this, bishop b4. Once again, yes, there's tension with the pawns. And I know you can't help it, can you? Your eye just gravitates. You just go, yeah, but it doesn't matter whether you're playing the white pieces or the black pieces. It's irreverent or irrelevant. Your eye gravitates, yeah, but, I could break up his pawn. You won't, because he'll retake with the knight, of course, because he wants to castle eventually. But get used to playing with tension. It's okay. Get your pieces out. Much better development strategy. Yes. Okay. I'm here to help. So now we're going to question the bishop. All right. Well, what's your decision? What are you going to do? I'm not going to let you just camp in my side of the territory. You got to figure out what you want to do. And the bishop says, well, in that case, I will take and go check, which he does. Gracefully, I might add. And the B pawn gracefully dismisses him from the stage. And now knight d5. Nice centralization. Tagging the bishop. Yeah. Okay, so what do you do? Do you defend the bishop? Do you move the bishop? Right? Here's what white did. Queen, rather It's not that it's a bad thing if you move your bishop out of the danger, but it is a better thing to bring another piece into the game, right? So that's why the queen d2 is a better move than trying to move the bishop. And now black decides, okay, now let's take the f-pawn. So the f-pawn is dismissed, and like I said, the knight will retake. Not with the pawn. No. Retake with the knight, absolutely. And now the knight will take the bishop. So we're getting some exchanging. We're going to change the dynamic of the chessboard through an exchange of pieces and pawns. That's what you always do in every game, regardless of where you move the pieces. You are constantly changing the dynamic where the power resides. And so you always, after every single move, you want to reassess the chessboard. Yes. And now here comes, guess what? A piece. Now, black has to hustle, though. He's behind in development, and it's only a temporary situation. But you remember the rule. If you are ahead in development, then go, man, go. Let's see if you can produce some pressure against your opponent because you have more power out. More power out means a potential better attack than the opponent can give a defense to. So let's see what happens. Charge! Bring another piece out. Yeah, I'm emphasizing that because that is the right thing. And okay, so I agree. Black's kind of in trouble here, but I do agree with the idea. He's blocking in his bishop, right? And that's too bad. So, and it does help influence the center, of course, to bring the bishop to the f6 or the knight and then enable you to get the bishop out. But look at white's centralized development. So if you're playing black, you're crossing your fingers right now. If you're playing white, you're saying, I'm coming for you, Bubba. True story. Now is the time to play dynamic, energetic, and begin getting your pieces much closer to that king. Absolutely, fundamentally. And now this is nice too, because before you begin an attack, you do want to tuck your king away. Really seriously. It also does bring in yet another great heavy piece, the rook, right? So, but yeah, I mean, unless you have a really beautiful tactic, which you can't help, and I gotta do this tactic. Yeah, even then, double check yourself. It is best to get fully developed, but really the ideal, really seriously, 99% of the time you want to tuck the king away first before you attack, because that helps eliminate any counterplay that your opponent can have. And you don't know, if you miss a tactic or something that the opponent does, that wouldn't matter whether it's with a pawn or a piece or whatever, and then all of a sudden he takes away your momentum and your king is still in the center, just prevent that. Castle. So good move. And absolutely. Yeah, if you're playing the black side, oh my, you're behind. You got to do something right now. And I mean, you have to do something right now because white is smelling the attack. Yes, closer to the king. Piece closer to the king, tagging the bishop and tagging the f-pawn. Just be aware. And black does properly castle now. He says, okay, now I do have to I have to develop. Castling is not a waste of a move. It is a development because you're extracting that rook out so that it can be useful. So don't ever think castling is a waste of move. It is not. And now, the moment of truth. Look at the board. You're white. sincerely, what's the least active piece? You ask yourself this every move too. Okay, so I have nice center. I've got most of my pieces out. What's the least active piece? That rook on the A, yeah? So what is the best way that I can put that rook to work on the most active square? There is a preparatory move first, and this, I've said this in several videos, and it's fun to be able to repeat this. First, you do the rook lift. If you're playing black, you know the attack is here. You who play fast and hard and powerful, period. That rook lift says tax on. And remember, when you're thinking the least active piece, black knows right now, oh man, that A rook is coming into this game, and where is going to be the best square? Yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Rook F1 from the A. Double up those rooks. Oh, heavens, yes. Yeah. So, nope. I don't get that. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. So anyway, but that is what he did. And absolutely. And now alarm bells, if you're playing black, alarm bells should be screeching. You are in trouble. Just look at the board. You're in trouble. So what does black do? Okay, now he drops the bishop back to e8 because, okay, now this does, notice how he's kind of cramped. Yeah, notice the power of this white knight, seriously. And notice that the knight did not worry about, I'm glad yes, you can exchange the bishop. This is true. But you don't always have to, because what other purpose is that knight doing? That is so nice. He is keeping black cramped. Look how he's blocking the E pawn. Notice how, because of the nature of black opening moves, he had to bring his knight to F6, and that's blocking his own F pawn. So he's kind of cramped here. If you're cramped, the downside is you don't have space to coordinate a powerful defense. Black's getting attacked. He knows that. But you're lacking the space, so you can't set it up as well as you would like to. This is critically important. You could exchange, but it's more powerful to bring the last inactive piece there. Yeah? And you say, well, the problem is now you give him the out. You could have got a bishop for a knight, and as a general rule, right, that's okay, that would work. However, now observe this. Black can't really bring in some kind of a defense. There's nothing to be able to maneuver around the king. And the bishop on e8 is not all that good of a defensive piece. It would be vastly superior if he had been kettled that bishop in the opening, right? Man, the bishop on g7 would be much better. Yeah? So realize that in some respects, yes, it was a lost opportunity with the knight getting the bishop. Okay, I agree with that. However, the greater good, now he's got all of his pieces in, and the question is the A rook of the black piece is going to be able to make a significant defense He has nowhere to go. He has nothing to do. Notice the queen hasn't even been able to leave her square, but notice where white's queen is. Notice the bishop is way back here on the first rank, and notice the bishop is up here diagonally pointing to h7. Every one of white's pieces is better placed, more active, and therefore stronger than every one of black's pieces. That's critical. So let's keep watching here. And bishop e8 is just about all black has. Okay, so, and again, I'm saying this for me, all right? I'm saying this for me, but it'll benefit you. The king is pretty guarded pretty well. I mean, there's nothing open there. That king's tucked away, yeah? Think medieval times then. The castle is barricaded with a wall. What do? You attack the wall. So this calls for some sacrifice of some sort. Yeah? And white set up for it. The doubling of the rooks. Kablam. Attack f6. Now that is a splendiferous guardian of the king, by the way. So true, he does go down the exchange. Agreed. A rook for a knight at the moment. So the importance of this is because of, again, after every play, after every move, you reassess the chessboard and you see, aha, there is a huge difference in this position than just one move ago. Now you're cracking open the king. And the really cool thing about it is it opens up the dark square weaknesses. With this exchange, now the dark squares start becoming weak. And what do you do with dark squares that are weak in your opponent's camp? That's right! You occupy them! And there it is. Queen h6. You can resign anytime. However, he is game. He is game. Come on. He's game, right? Here's the catch. See, I told you earlier, right? Now I get to show it to you. The farther you get into the game, there's been some exchanges of pieces. There's been some exchanges of pawns. And now look at how the power of that bishop has been magnified. Is checkmate next move, guys. The power of extra space, and white has been ahead in development this whole game. Are there any pieces out past the first rank of black? It's just pawns. That's significant. You want to watch these things. That's huge, right? So opening it up now, you're in trouble, and you can't take the knight yet. Now, this is another fascinating thing. That knight has been doing fantastic of stopping. He's blocking the pawn. Black has not had a chance to create a pawn chain, which is it is a powerful defense to keep your opponent's pieces out. But he has not had that chance because that knight's been blockading him. And now you can't even take the knight. So don't waste your time with the knight because the checkmate's here. Right? So don't worry about whether he's threatening the knight as white. As black, you know you can't take the knight. It's checkmate next move. So you are virtually forced to bump your pawn forward. You got to block off that diagonal of the bishop. Now, last Saturday morning, in my live session, we're going through Artur Yusupav's chess course together. And his I think we're on lesson 3 this coming up Saturday, but last Saturday we went through chapters 2 in the beginner, intermediate, and advanced chess books. And he really did emphasize the power of the bishops and being able to utilize the bishops. So this is a great game to kind of connect with that Artur Yusupov chess lesson of the power, and you have to blockade it. Now, granted, the black pawn chain is good. That's tough. It is. It stopped the checkmate next move, but because of his development and his pieces are closer to the king, white still has attack potential. He has not been shut down. That's what I wanted to emphasize to you. And now you get to ask yourself, okay, now, that's a pretty good pawn chain. And I'm not going to take it with my bishop, although the knight is hanging out here, and it's a tough piece. But what do you see here that you can use? Your coordination of your queen and your bishop and your knight is so nice that you can afford to continue opening up the black king with a rook sacrifice. Now, observe this. He lost the exchange earlier. The rook took the knight to give this fantastic weakness so that he has a really powerful setup. Now the other rook can come in and finish opening up the king so that he can win. Is that not fantastic? Come on, that's fantastic. And you can't take the rook either. That's why it's such a great sacrifice. That's not a sacrifice. You take the rook, you get checkmate. Do you see that? If he takes the rook, the bishop will take it and it's checkmate next move. So you can't even take the rook. So keep your eye open for sacrifices and recognize that if you can fool your opponent into taking that rook, who doesn't want to take a rook? I mean, a rook for a pawn, man. Yeah. That's temptation right there. That's better than Eve with the apple off the tree of life, right? But you can't do it, so all you can do is threaten the knight, which is not a threat. Because the astonishing thing is, now you can go rook g5 check. Oh, and it's here the black resigned. Yeah. Oh man, come on, that's rich. That is fantastic. That is splendid. Because notice he's got both pieces threatened, the knight and the rook, by that little squirt f-pawn, and he can't take either one of them. Because if he does take the rook, what good does that do? The queen will take 8-7, checkmate. Isn't that astonishing? The takeaway for this one, before I set up for another one, for the next one, is the really cool idea of having more pieces out in the field than your opponent. And then the next key is get your pieces closer to that king so that you can coordinate an attack. By getting your pieces closer to the king in the opponent's territory, you also gain space, which will give you a chance to coordinate bishops with queens, knights with bishops, and knights with queens. And the two heroes were the rooks on the file that threw themselves up that file to sacrifice themselves to open it all up. I mean, this game has everything as far as a good chess game goes. Seriously, I loved this game. So let's take a look at another one. Hey, we're celebrating Juneteenth, baby. We've got 2 games today, 2 chess games today. You gotta love it. Just remember, the Backyard Professor delivers. I told you we're going to have fun learning chess, and we are. And there's still much more good stuff coming out right now as you sit there and breathe and eat popcorn and enjoy your morning All right, let's get this show on the road. Put the pieces back. So the next game is it's somewhat similar, but there's huge differences, and this is why this next game makes this so much fun for me too. So this is Perez and Fernandez in 1947, E4, E6, and D4, D5. So again, both of those central pawns up, which allows you to begin getting your bishops out. That is very, very rarely, seldom a bad way to open. I mean, if you're just a bare bones beginner, you can't go wrong opening with both those pawns for the time being until you get some openings under your belt. That is absolutely correct. And look at this. Bring out the pieces. Yes, sirree. And look at this. Bring out the pieces. Yes, so he's going to put the pin. It's an absolute pin because it's against the king. And now what's he do? Does he fret about the pin? No. Does he immediately begin to attack the bishop who's pinning the knight? No. He gets another piece in here. I'm going to emphasize that because, you know, and we all know this. How many times have we been told this, man? Yeah, when we get down to playing chess with a brother or our nephew or our niece or aunt or mom or dad or whatever, or online, you forget it. You don't do this stuff. Get your pieces out. You can't believe to this day, every Grandmaster book I have like 60 of them. Every book I have says that. Get developed. Get your pieces out. I've read that hundreds of times. I have said that thousands of times. And yet we still forget. So one more time, piece activity is more important than pawn activity because there's more influence. Once again, had he moved the pawn, it would only threaten one square. By moving the knight, he controls 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. 4 times more powerful, without exaggeration, than a pawn push, even though it is attacking a piece, right? So just be aware of that, the importance of getting the pieces out sincerely. Now the D will take the E. And you're saying, I've got to get that pawn. I just lost a pawn. I have to begin to attack that pawn. No, calm down. It's okay. We're early in the game. It's all good. Now you can put the question to the bishop because it'll clarify the intention of the blacks. Because you are going to want to be able to move that knight eventually if he chooses not to take it. If he chooses to take it, that gives you an opportunity to retake with the B pawn and advance your pawns to give you more space on the queen side. So you want to clarify it. Now you can go ahead and say, all right, pick your poison. What are you going to do? You're going to take or you're going to back up. In this instance, he goes to D6. Okay, now we can begin playing this game. And now you can take the pawn and put the question to the bishop. Black is not going to fall for any worrying about shenanigans. He's going to go, the bishop is covered with the pawn. The key is piece activity. Get your pieces out. Do it. Do it now. Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I mean, when he tells us, you got to listen. The Terminator, man. So now this is a rearrangement of the knights because he does want to get his bishop out. But notice how both knights now are on that side of the board, and there could be some great combinations coming up. If black will continue bringing out material, everything should be cool. Let's see what he does. Hey, hey. Hey, another piece out. Okay. All right. All right. But now white's going to make black think. Piece closer to your king. You're looking for checks, captures, or threats. When the pieces begin to move in closer and closer and closer, you do want to just have that in mind. Okay, what's up? What's up? What's going on? I need to look at this chessboard. And he does castle. Castling is not a waste of time. It is a way to tuck the king in. It is also the way to get this rook into the action. And the rook is one of your good heavy pieces, so put him to work. Okay, we've got it. White is somewhat being obnoxious now. Check. Observe what happened. This will help reinforce this to you. The knights were here. Where was that knight? He came to, no, it wasn't. It was here. He came to h5 closer. Now he comes to f6, check. He is able to attack. And I am so with you if your first thought was, yeah, but you know what? A one-piece attack can't win. Drill that into your head. Even if it's a queen alone can't checkmate. Okay, so don't be freaking out if it's a queen. But even with the knight advance, it's a one-piece attack. But is that white's purpose? Well, I mean, he wouldn't have went there if it wasn't. But it's not a one-piece attack. It is a sacrifice. So here we are again in a familiar board position, similar to the last game. And what do you observe? You really need to keep an eye on the fact that he has now made the h6 square weak. Now the dark squares, there's no pawn here anymore. You got to deflect the pawn here, and this opens up. And it also opens up, if you can get in front of the pawns, it also opens up the king directly on the file. So the purpose, and again, in the opening, you want to try to get all your pieces developed, correct? Absolutely. In the opening, he has made 1, 2, 3 knight moves for 1 displaced pawn? Does that make sense? Let's observe. Tag team almost, right? That is really interesting. Knight takes the f6, check again. But now his pal sacrificed himself. Now this knight stays there. And where is there? Very close to the king. You gotta pay attention to that. This is serious for black. Now he has to start playing hardcore chess, and he's too late because of this. Now, is that amazing? Recognize the irony here. The very best way to play chess is to develop. Yeah, get all of your pieces into this game. I've said that hundreds of times. Get all of your pieces into this game. And yet, we observe a very interesting contradiction. He has not fully developed. Man, he He's not even ready to castle yet. He's still got a bishop in the way if he's going to castle kingside, and a bishop in the way if he's going to castle queenside. He's still 2 moves away from tucking his king in, and what's he doing? He's attacking. Now, what did I say just the last game? You got to tuck your king away before you attack. What's white doing? He's attacking before tucking his king away, but it works amazingly because the board is semi-open. And look who is better developed. The black pieces have more pieces out there, and yet the lines of influence are open, and you have a piece close to the king that can coordinate with either the queen or the bishop or both. Amazing how chess does this, yeah? So, black comes to knight f5, right? There's a checkmate on h6 with the queen. Not because of the knight, but because of the bishop, who hasn't even developed. That's amazing, isn't it? The bishop has just been home all day, and look at his power, right? But because white was able to disrupt, move that G pawn over, disrupt the kingside protection, and open up h6, look at the consequences. Yeah. And it turned out to be not a one-piece attack after all, at all. There's 3 of them. Crazy, isn't it? That is just so fascinating. So knight f5, and now what did white just do? Again, he made his piece a more active piece and got it closer to the opponent's king. Very important. h6, you gotta try to do something to get rid of the pressure at this point because of the nature of the open black king. White can afford to sacrifice. So just get rid of the pawn. This actually opens up even stronger. The knight will take h6. The knight is trying hard to protect his king, and queen comes to g5. And it's here that he resigns. The power of the queen and the knight together in a combination dynamic duo is just about as perfect as you can get it, right? Yeah, there's just, this is murder. He's done. So if you want to see it, the only square he's got's there. And then you go, you take the knight. And there you go, checkmate. So there's 2 really fun games with really important themes that kind of tied in together. That's why I wanted to put these 2 together for you in a chess video on Juneteenth. So you guys go have a good day for the rest of the day, and I'm going to go enjoy the day. I've got some yard work to do. I've got a barbecue to have and all that jazz. So thank you for watching my videos. Appreciate all your support. I do have a PayPal account. If you would like to contribute to the PayPal account, you're more than welcome to. If you don't want to, it's no big deal. On my lives, I do have super chats available for you to contribute that way if you care to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and leave some comments below on how you like the chess videos, which games you would like to see, etc. Don't forget Saturday morning live. That is the chess of Artur Yusupov, who is one of the greats still to this day. So you guys have a great day. I will be back just as soon as I can.